don't know if inspire is the word I would follow it. Um, I wanted to travel ever since I was a little boy, because I grew up in a city that was more or less flattened. I grew up in ruins. In August of 1945, that was the week the atom bombs were dropped in Japan, and my city was already flattened, and and eventually, when I grew up, I looked at newspapers and the encyclopedia in my grandfather's encyclopedia had survived the war, and there were pictures of the world in there and maps, and I couldn't believe all the beauty I saw. The world was not everywhere like it was in my town. It was not just all ruins. I mean, because as a kid you take it for granted. You see ruins around you, that's the world. It's beautiful, the world is beautiful. But I realized in other places it was much more beautiful. So I wanted to see them. Already as a boy, I only wanted to leave. And I remember the first time I took a train, I was 4 or 5. And I was so excited I was going to be on a train. Whew. It was only for 2 hours to go to my grand aunt to stay there for the summer vacation. My mother was pregnant and I think she didn't want me around. So I was sent to the country and I was looking forward to a train ride, my first train ride. And my mother took me to the station. I was so happy I was going to be on a train, alone, traveling. And then my mother started looking for somebody in the train who would accompany me. And I was appalled. I didn't need anybody to accompany me. I wanted to ride the train alone. And she didn't understand it. So I really pushed her out of the train. I mean, we were still in the station. I really pushed her. She had to leave. I didn't want her to find some old lady who would take care of me. I wanted to sit alone in the train. I knew where I was going to get out. So traveling was in my bones from the beginning. As soon as I had a bike, I traveled to Holland with my bike. And anyway, I love traveling. And I did it before I realized I was going to be a filmmaker. And when I was a filmmaker, I realized you could make movies on the road. I didn't know that. I had to find out that this was an option. And when I found the option, I was a fish in the water. I was happy, and it was ideal for me to travel and make movies at the same time. So for a while, I made some old movies, and then I realized there are also other movies. So I did not just only make road movies. You know that.
Of course. You wanted to be a painter. We spoke about yesterday how the Cinematheque, Henry Langlois' Cinematheque, showed you films and you went on to be a filmmaker. But I read before that you never really cared about film schools, and you didn't go to a film school. Or you did go. Sorry,
I
you
did.
did. Yeah, you did go.
I did go, but it sucked. It was the first film school in Germany, and they didn't exactly know what to do with us. We were the first students, 20 of us, and about 1,000 were rejected. There was an enormous amount of people who wanted to go to film school, the first one, and one of them was Rainer Fassbinder, and they rejected him. Imagine, and he was so pissed off that he made 3 movies before we even made our first movie in film school. And because in that school they didn't even think of having a camera. What? It was a film school, but not a single camera to be found. Can you imagine? So luckily I enlisted in the fall of '67. We suffered for a few months, and then came May '68, the student rebellion all over the world, and we took part in it, and we occupied the film school. And we threw everybody else out, and we hired our own professors, and we only gave up occupying it on condition that we would get cameras, editing tables, and hire people who would teach film history, editing, how to deal with actors, how to write a script. None of that was there. They were teaching us history and communication and shit like that.